Hi, everyone, and welcome to Wholesale Change. It's the webcast and podcast from Distribution Strategy Group, where we offer thought leadership for wholesale change agents like you. Because if you're on this program, you're probably a wholesale change agent too. My name's Ian Heller. I will be your host for today's conversation. But before we get started, I want to do just a little bit of business. I want to tell you about a product that we developed. Actually, my business partner, who's the genius PhD in computer science, developed, but I like to take credit for it. Customer Experience RX from Distribution Strategy Group. It's an NPS, Net Promoter Score, customer satisfaction survey designed especially for distributors, which means it doesn't just give you an overall score like most NPS systems do. It actually gives you like the score for your sales reps and your customer service and your inventory availability and your delivery service. And you can actually see benchmarking versus other distributors. So you know how you compare. It's a phenomenal system. It's not very expensive. It's super easy to implement. In fact, sometimes people say, well, I got some other projects. We're like, well, then put this in first so you know if those projects actually work. Why would you do all that work and then not have any idea if customers like the work that you've done? So pretty cool system. Love to tell you about it. Reach out to Jay Bein at Distribution Strategy to get a demo or get more information. That's JBEIN. So that is Customer Experience RX. Now, I want to bring on our panelists, the stars of the show. The people are going to share their experiences about this wonderful AI conference that we just had. I've got Dish Ramachandran, Nelson Valderrama, and Kristen Tom from, respectively, ORS Group, Intualize, and White Cup. How are y'all doing today?
Fabulous. Doing great. Thank you.
You bet. You ready to have some fun?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you're in
Counting
the
on
right
it.
place. You're in the right place. So I'm going to stop sharing here. So you should just be seeing the four of us, I hope.
Yep.
Okay, good. So I sent you all a discussion guide this morning, giving you plenty of time, like an hour to prepare. but I want to throw you a wild card that I think you'll like. This will be fun. So at the fall conference, so for those of you who were there, and if you weren't, just imagine where the world was in terms of AI 9 months ago. At our fall conference, same event, people came in starry-eyed, dazed and confused about AI. Like, what is this? What does this mean for my company? And they're sort of scrambling. This conference, people came in going, I need to find some technology that's AI enabled for my company. It was a very different orientation. Have you seen that same transition among your customers and prospects over the last 9 months? Who wants to go first?
Sure, I can jump in there. I
Yep.
would say absolutely. I feel like 9 months ago, we were still in that kind of early phase, like you mentioned, Ian. And we're kind of looking at what big tech companies were doing with AI. We're keeping an eye on it. We're interested, kind of, curious, but maybe a little bit scared. And then, fast forward now, like you said, I feel like that initial kind of fear is over and it's getting past, hey, what are the big tech companies doing to, just like you said, how do we use this? How do we benefit from this in our businesses? That's definitely what we're hearing from the distributors that we work with.
Right. So you've seen the same change.
Mm-hmm.
Nelson?
Yeah, I think in our side, kind of the same thing. I mean, we start our company, being an AI platform before the whole buzz. So
Yeah.
it has been a great transition to see over the last 5 years that change, right? I would say that I would put people like in, companies in buckets. So definitely there's still a big bucket of people kicking the tires and trying to understand what is it, what to do with it, and trying to get even the lingo around it. I feel that a lot of the owners, they don't want to feel stupid, right? So they wanted to learn what is it right before they talk. So there's a group of that, but also there's a group that is growing more and more, which are practitioners, people that are being practical or pragmatic, right? Saying, okay,
Yeah.
these are the 10 problems that I have. What I say to the people there is that you're coming with a shopping cart of problems. You have 15 problems in your shopping cart, and they're going through this conference trying to figure out how to match a problem with a solution. That's what I saw, right?
Yeah.
And that was completely different from, the fall event, but as well with the prospects, even with the customers that we have. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to make a big announcement here. So, I've been spelling my name IAN for 61 years. I've decided I'm going to start spelling it AIN. So So just like Nelson, your company was based on AI from the start, right? And
Right,
so
exactly.
it went from probably being behind the scenes and people just thought it was a feature, right? To
Right.
now it's not. So but we're going to go into the introductions part of the show now that we've done a warm-up question. So why don't you tell us a little bit about where you come from, what you're doing at ORS, and what ORS does?
Great. So very quickly to answer your first question, a little while ago, I mean, ORS has been in operational research, which morphed into AI many, many years ago. The company's been in business for over 25 years, and we've implemented AI solutions for large customers, which have been successful in operating over the last 10, 12 years. So long before AI became cool, right? But what's interesting is, which leads into your question, which is that while AI was the exclusive preserve of the very largest companies, 2 or 3 years ago, it was only the multi-billion-dollar companies that could invest in AI and kind of explore these ideas. Now it's coming certainly downstream to smaller companies sub 100 million in revenue. They're looking at AI, they're looking at ways in which they can leverage this incredible technology in very practical ways, where previously it might have been pie in the sky experiments. Now it's becoming very actionable, day-to-day use type of very practical solutions. So I'm Dush Ramachandran. I'm Chief Revenue Officer for ORS, which stands for Operational Research Systems. And we're headquartered in Italy, but we have a large operation globally and responsible for all of our sales worldwide.
Fantastic. Okay, good. So, Kristen, let's go over to you. Why don't you tell us about your background? And you got promoted pretty recently, right?
Yeah, not too long ago. Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
I'm with White Cup.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I've been with White Cup for about 10 years in a whole bunch of roles, most of which were customer facing. So I worked with distributors who were implementing our solutions as the implementation coordinator, implementation manager. I worked with our support team for a lot of years. So again, direct in the trenches there with our distributor customers. Worked with our dev team for a while, really ping pong through most of the departments over here. But recently landed in the last couple of years here in product, where now I get to set the roadmap and decide where we're going to go next with our products, which is a ton of fun. And I get to bring, I always joke of all the baggage with me of working directly with customers all those years of, hey, this is what they care about. These are their pain points that they see. So in my role, I'm constantly juggling kind of those two main inputs, what distributors are talking about and struggling with, and then where that wider technology sphere is headed. And so this last year has been super exciting because we're just seeing a convergence, like we mentioned earlier, of AI being not just that wider technology sphere, but now part of these day-to-day conversations with distributors, which is really exciting. So at White Cup, we build a CRM and business intelligence tools that help distributors grow their revenue. And so for us, how that AI conversation is playing out and what you'll see in our products is basically how can we translate that into practical AI that solves a business need that fits in with the rest of our products. So that improves revenue and margin growth. So that's really how we're focusing on it and trying to offer really kind of targeted ways to use AI within distribution.
Awesome. Nelson, you're the founder of Intualize, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah. So a little bit about myself. I have been in the distribution industry for over, I would say 27, 28 years. I started working for GE Supply late 90s, running a couple of businesses in Mexico. I was one of the first trainees in the management program that I was not a US citizen. So it was a huge thing for GE back in the days. Then I moved to G Capital where I learned about analytics, right? So distribution business, you can run it based on your memory. So you can memorize products and you can memorize customers. But in banking, it's impossible. I mean, when you're running a P&L with 3 million users, it's impossible to do that. So I learned analytics from the ground up. I enjoy it. I love it. I have a lot of friends crunching all these numbers. I moved to Los Angeles back in 2010, working for a small private equity firm, helping them to buy business and make them better. And what I was doing for them was doing the due diligence, then looking at the businesses and seeing what the opportunities were there. Typically, were either improving the working capital, which is inventory, or help them in on the profitability, which is pricing. So I have been doing the same thing over and over. And I couldn't find tools back then, but I was, trying to do my best. And in 2017, I said, you know what? I need to put my money where my mouth is, which this is the future. So I need to go jump into that. So I decided to start my company in 2018. We're a bootstrap startup. And here we are, after 5 years, we started, based on AI. And our focus has been small and mid-sized distributors. I think what Dosh described is right on. I mean, AI was for the big companies. And now we have the computing power and a lot of the platform that allows like companies like us to build solutions for the small and mid-sized guys. So today, I would say the majority of our customers are in that 10 to $150 million in annual revenue, enjoying 3 times ROI using AI. And some of them, they even know what is AI, to be honest with you. And I post something in LinkedIn talking about Lowe's CEO saying the best technology is the one that people, they don't know they are using, right? They don't need to know what is behind the scenes. They just need, how the fruits of they are. So yeah, that's Intualize, and we work on price optimization and inventory optimization for distributors. And we love what we do.
Yeah, that's great. So I will encourage the audience to put in questions. There is a Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. So we'd love to get your voice into the conversation. So what's something that you shared with the audience at the event that you think resonated with them or was surprising to them? Anybody want to start with the start?
Sure. I'll go first. So the interesting thing about what I presented at the conference was specific case studies of 3 customers that we've delivered results for. And this is specifics in terms of return on their investment, the reduction of their overall inventory, accuracy of their demand forecasts, and so on and so forth. And a number of people came up to me after the presentation, and they all had very much the same thing to say. They said it in different ways, but essentially the same thing was, we get a lot of motherhood and apple pie type of statements, where it's beautiful, it's important, it's coming, you need to be part of this, and so on. But the really impactful thing that you shared was specific results in terms of numbers that you can measure. So that was interesting, and it was a little surprising to me, only because I would have thought that there would have been more of that type of an approach where, right, yes, we all understand that AI is important and it's here and it's going to revolutionize the industry, but it would be great to know exactly how and to what extent, and what is the payback, what is the return on investment. So that was really interesting to me, and there was a common thread through a lot of the comments that we got.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to have you cut a promo for next year's event, Dush, because that's why we call it applied AI for distributors, right?
Correct.
I mean, we have, one speaker in particular who's sort of a futurist, and it's interesting and thought-provoking, but it doesn't provide solutions in the short term.
And the futurism is very good. I mean, it's really important to see, okay, where this is all heading, right? I mean, not to detract from any of that, but to your point, Ian, I think the people that were attending were scribbling furiously in their notebooks, because what they could see was, okay, here's a specific benefit that I can apply to my business. And if I can reduce my inventory by 8%, which is what one of our customer case studies spoke about, and you could see the cogs whirring in their minds, saying, okay, the cost of my inventory is 20 million. So if I can reduce that by 8%, oh, that's 1.6 million. That could work out really nicely. So that's really where I think it's interesting. And yeah, be happy to cut a promo for next year.
Great. Kristen Nelson, you want to share something that you thought was either surprising or resonated with the audience that you shared?
Yeah, kind of building a little bit off of what Dish is saying here. One thing that we shared and we continue to share in all of our messaging about AI to distributors is that the technology is there for us to make this workable. The barrier to entry to use this is so much lower than it was a year ago. We hear all the time that, one, I don't think my people can adopt this. They're not going to understand it. They're not going to adopt it. And 2, my data isn't there. My data isn't what I need it to be to really utilize AI. And both of those, the technology has risen to the occasion in this case to help us overcome those barriers to entry, where I think people are getting more and more surprised that you don't, your data is never going to be perfect. That's a myth out there that your data is going to be quote unquote clean at some point. There's always going to be, pieces that we wish were better. And the adoption is so much easier when you look for tools that are built for users and not built for a developer or a data scientist. There's so many of those out there right now. So just that barrier to entry is so much lower than it ever has been. It really is pretty easy to start getting your foot into the door with this.
Yeah, I think, when you're dealing with a business audience, ultimately they need to increase profitability in the business, right? So you can lower cost, improve productivity, raise sales, raise margins, but there are only so many levers at a high level that you can pull. But ultimately you have to increase profits. And so, Nelson, did you feel like that was the nature of the conversations ultimately at the conference was, hey, the razzle dazzle is interesting, but ultimately I need to find tools that drive better bottom lines?
I will say, and again, I'll put in three buckets and I try to classify everything. There were, conversations that were about just exploring, what is AI. And what we said to those people is AI is just another technology. You have been buying technology for over decades, just exactly the same process that you are doing today to buy technology, right? So that makes things simple for them. There is a second bucket of, people that we talk with where they will have a lot of problems or a lot of ideas, but they don't know how to prioritize, right? What is the best choice, right? That's those trade-offs in terms of, do I do this, do I do that, and so forth. I love the conversation that I had with a gentleman during a lunch, and I asked him just genuinely, what are you doing with all of this? He said, you know what, Nelson, I'm looking forward for my annual bonus, right? And my annual bonus is, pretty much focused on profitability, right? So at this point, after talking with all these different solutions, I think the solution that I want is this one, because this is going to give me the $500,000 that I'm looking into for this year. So I know it's applicable. I know the risk is there, but it's the lower one. So somehow he came with some kind of matrix in his head in order to make that trade-off. And that's what we talk in kind of in the conference with people is like, just choose a process that works for you buying technology. And I think Dosh and Kristen mentioned that is like, really just prioritize what is important for you in terms of the profitability aspect of things is, increase your revenue, is increase, your gross margin, is reducing some of the costs, is, working capital. And again, I have a lot of conversation with people who have more ideas that they can express to me in 30 minutes. So they are going back to, their offices, I'm pretty sure sharing this with everyone, right? Yeah. For some of them, it's going to be, I would say, a challenge to choose one first to pick. But again, at the end of the day is you have a problem, try to find a solution and put a dollar sign to it just to see if that's what you want to do as a business. And it's a journey, right? It's a journey. It's not a silver bullet also, right? It's not like you go and buy AI and it's going to change the world for you. I just wanted to make sure, and that's the conversation that I have with people, right? Just to make sure people understand that's a journey.
Is there a difference in the technical skill sets that distributors need in order to evaluate and adopt AI technologies? And so if you're running a distributor, would you look to reskill your IT department, your workforce, your executive team, so that you understand this new technology and you're able to adopt it more effectively?
Not necessarily. It depends on the application. But what happens most often is that the best developed applications hide all the complexity of the AI underneath the covers and provide functionality for the user, right? Now, if you have a data science organization and you're homebrewing your own AI solution, yes, of course, you need to have a deeper understanding. And that is almost the exclusive preserve of the very large companies like Grainger that are putting in, hundreds of people, data scientists in creating their own applications. But for the vast majority of distributors, what they are really focused on, or they ought to be focused on, is really increasing their fill rates, minimizing, optimizing their inventory, forecasting their inventory better. What do you need to keep in stock in what location, what time, and when? That's it. Boil it down to its very, they're not in the business of developing applications. They're in the business of boxes in, boxes out, as somebody used to say, right? And so hide all the best applications, hide all the complexity underneath, and allow them to use the application to leverage the power of AI to answer business questions. So simulate business problems, get what if scenarios and answers to them, right? That's the key.
Okay, so from that perspective, is the AI almost a distraction sometimes? And what you really need to focus on is, what are the capabilities and benefits of this system and how does it match up with my needs? And you just accept that behind the scenes, AI is doing some of the heavy lifting?
Yeah, because if you look at it, we've been using AI for quite a long time without realizing it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when you talk to your phone, say, hey Siri, tell me this or tell me that, that's AI. My phone's going off now. Heard
Well,
me say.
it's going to get a lot better when it's replaced by ChatGPT in the background, though.
Right, exactly right, with
So,
Apple Intelligence. But the point is, we've been using it, but what we've not bothered to think about is, okay, how is that actually happening? There's large language models, there's voice processing, there's voice recognition. All of this is happening in the background. And the magic is that's all hidden from you. You don't need to worry about that. All you need to worry about is, what is the information I need that is usable today? And the differentiation that AI offers is what was previously inaccessible because of the complexity of the data, right, is now accessible because vast amounts of data can be analyzed very, very quickly to produce insights and knowledge that is actionable. That was not possible before.
Okay, now, Kristen, though, I hear what Dush is saying. I agree with it logically. But when I talk to distribution executives, what they're telling me is, man, I'm getting pressure from my board. I'm getting pressure from my PE group. I'm getting pressure from my shareholders to demonstrate that I have an AI roadmap, that I'm making investments in AI. So they're not getting pressure to make sure your technology capabilities match up with your requirements. They're literally getting pressure to adopt AI. Are you hearing that from your customers and prospects, and what do you tell them?
Absolutely. We hear it all the time, day in, day out. And frequently it's matched with a little bit of like bewilderment of like, I don't know how I need AI, but I know I need AI. Like you said, they're getting this pressure both from internal forces and just externally. We're all talking about it all the time. Every news article is popping up about AI. We're feeling this pressure from kind of all angles. And so, yeah, we absolutely hear that from distributors. Again, our tactic is going a little bit back to what Nelson was saying is, AI should be a tool to solve a problem. And so rather than say we need AI, let's figure out what the pain points are in the business that AI is particularly well suited to do today. AI is advancing really rapidly. It continues to add more and more cool things it can do, but there is stuff that it's really good at today of looking at large data sets and finding patterns. There's a lot we can do just with that, and just using that as a building block to start solving those actual problems in your business. So that's how we've been trying to help kind of lessen that overwhelm feeling that a lot of folks are feeling. Mm-hmm.
So we have a question from Brian in the audience, and so I'm going to direct this at you, Nelson, because it's kind of related to what we just talked about, only coming from a practical business or system limitation perspective rather than pressure from shareholders. So Brian's saying, we attended the AI conference and it was filled with great information and options. But when we look for an AI integration with our current system doesn't meet our needs. They can't do it, I think, is what he's saying. So his question is, should we find a system that will be easy to integrate, or one that fills most of our needs, even though it takes more time to tune and tweak to get the most out of what we need to get it to work? So I think there's this underlying question about, what if my ERP isn't up to snuff to bolt on these new solutions? Is it better off? Am I better off just adopting the AI that I can right now, or should I pause and replace the system? Brian, I think that's what you mean. So I hope I paraphrased it correctly.
Yeah, that's a great question. And we get this question from prospects all the time, Ian. And I think there is no one answer. It just depends, right, where they are, right? So if you are a, let's say 10, 20, let's say 10, $30 million annual revenue distributor, right? And you have that question versus you are a 500 million, is a completely different question, right?
Yeah,
In terms of the scale that you are talking about. So let me give you an answer with prospects that we spoke. We spoke with a prospect last year that they have that situation. They have a ACE 400. They have three different, portals, and they have a what I call a Frankenstein, right? And they wanted to keep adding AI stuff. There is a way to integrate that, but at the end of the day, it's going to become a legacy that they need to work with. So it's doable. And again, in technology, you can do whatever you want. It's just going to be the cost, right? That it will be associated to make that happen, right? In the other side, if you guys are that specific company is looking at their capabilities that they have, and that they see that the ERP system is not going to take them where they need to be in 2, 3, 5, 10 years, maybe that's a decision that they need to make, right? And eat the bullet, up to that. Now, I'm not saying the AI is the solution. Going back with what I mentioned, is what is the problem that they have, right? And what is what they wanted to solve, and to figure out which ERP system is providing that to them. So I think there are legacy ones that are going to be very hard to do, but it's doable. It's just about the cost associated with that. So it's doable, but it's just about the future, right? How they see that in the future, right?
Okay, now, thanks. That's a good answer. So I'm thinking about like the customer experience, because AI is enabling new customer experiences, and some of it is with real obvious things like in chat bots that are much more capable than the ones that we were used to in the past that were so frustrating. But some of it is that the company performs better, and so that results in a better outcome. You manage your inventory better, Dush, or you have better CRM, Kristen, or you have better analytics, so you're better able to meet customer needs. Nelson, I mean, there's something about what you guys do that results sort of indirectly, but very significantly in improving the customer experience. Do you have customers who are deliberately trying to differentiate on an improved customer experience by using your technologies?
Yes, absolutely. For us, I mean, core to CRM, right, is that customer relationship management. So obviously that's core to a lot of conversations we have. For us, where AI is helping people do that differentiation, like today, and where folks are looking at taking it, is really understanding your customer's business through a lens that your customer doesn't see. So it's not just that you need to understand your customer as a distributor, it's that your customer has trouble seeing their business through this lens as well. So it really puts you in a position to be that really trusted advisor, that consultative salesperson, when you understanding their ordering patterns, helping them determine, hey, there's this promotion going on. It really makes sense for you to stock up now, stepping into a little bit more of that consultative role with your customers themselves. And AI just makes that easier to do at scale, frankly. So, understanding what do they need next week based on what they're ordering today, so they don't have to come back for a reorder. Again, what is their buying patterns? How can you use that to help them plan and, budget for their business and kind of plan that out a little bit? It's bringing together these different pieces that are in all of these data sets all over the place, in between emails that exist out there, orders in your ERP system, like all over the place, bringing those together to have that better view of what's going on.
So I'd actually like to ask all three of you this question. So Dush, do you want to talk about, sort of the direct or indirect impacts of customer experience on AI generally, or ORS?
Yeah, absolutely. So with the solutions that we offer to the distribution industry, the impact to customer experience happens at a very direct level, which is you take a customer walking into a retail location or a branch location of a distributor. They come in looking for a certain product, don't find it, they go out. Now, they walk away mad, as another friend of mine used to say. Now, the challenge with that is, one, that lost business is not captured. Nobody knows how much of that business was actually lost. If it's a large purchase order that's not filled fully, you have fill rates, and you can measure that, and you say, we need to improve our fill rates. But at the retail branch level, having the right kind of inventory in the right place makes all the difference. That's the difference between walking into the retail location and saying, I know I'll find it here, versus I don't know if I'll find it. We'll see if I do. And if I don't find it, then I have to make another stop somewhere else and find the thing I want. So that's a very direct impact on the customer experience, which in fact influences customer loyalty, right? If that happens 3 times, you walk into a retail location of a particular distributor, don't find the thing you're looking for. It may be 3 different things, but you don't find it 3 times, the chances of you going back there the 4th time is infinitesimally smaller, right? That's the direct impact, I'd say.
Yeah, let me give you an example here that I think a lot of the small and mid guys are going to appreciate. For example, respond to a quote, right? So if you go back into the old days, right, to respond to a quote may take, depending if you have the stock, the inventory, and the price it may take a couple of days, right? Today, the expectation of the user is have immediately price and delivery. That's something that the user will say, you need to have it, right? And either I have it through your website, I have it through your app, to the phone, to the email, whatever is the channel that they are going to choose. So, for example, what we do for distributors is to make sure that they have everything set up in their CRM or in the ERP system, so they can price things within less than 24 hours, 48 hours, right? And that's a huge difference. When they receive a quote with 1 line or 50 lines, and they know that they can turn around that quote in 48 hours, that makes the whole difference, right? In terms of responding to that. So there are, like, again, big KPIs that you can be hitting in user experience, or it could be a small ones, right? In terms of turnaround time, or a Dutch said, a price or product availability that you have. So it just depends what you're shooting for, but it definitely is a huge change in user experience.
And what about the requirements for data quality? So does AI help you overcome poor data quality, or do you need to invest in better data quality to get better results from AI? Or is there some version of both of those that's true?
I think it's both of those are important aspects. So in order for the AI to be truly supportive of your business objectives, it needs to have good data to look at, right? The AI engines train on the data that's available and then start to work on data going forward. Now, if the data going in is not, I mean, this is an age-old aphorism about garbage in, garbage out, which we've used in the industry for 35 years, right? So while that is a challenge and that is a problem, AI also actually helps in improving the quality of data. Because, for example, we have data, ETL, enhanced transformer load tools that allow you to infer missing pieces of data based on attributes, based on other details that you can pick up. You're able to infer certain attributes that are missing and thereby enrich the data, which then is more usable going forward. So AI needs a solution, and AI is the solution in both sides of this equation, which is really interesting. Never happened before in any other kind of technology.
Yeah.
Technology created the problems, but then didn't solve them.
Kristen, is that your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Dash is right on the money here. It's really a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B there. So, there's so much within data quality that, fingers on keyboards, just manual labor. It's going to take forever, and it's still going to be prone to human error. And I think that's the piece to remember, is if you are trying to hammer this through and get this done manually for that magical data cleanup, whatever that threshold is, it's still prone to error and bias through judgment and that type of thing. And so very, very often, I think that being able to do this at scale with AI tooling and improve your data that way, you're going to just accelerate what you're doing. Is it going to be 100% of the time? Nope, because that's not how any solution works. But it's going to give you enough to very, very much accelerate your kind of journey there. So I'd really encourage people to look at those options and not discount those for fear of being slightly off on one field and on one record type of thing.
Right.
That type of fear, I think, holds us back a little bit. Yeah.
So Nelson, what I'm hearing is that AI can handle sort of a broader range of messiness in the data, but it'll work better if you spend some time to get it cleaner. Is
Cleaned
that,
up.
yeah, is that your,
Yeah, I think that's our experience. I just want to put things in buckets, right? So
Yeah.
here we go. If we are talking about, I haven't found one customer that the data is perfect. I haven't found one, right? And once imperfect is clean. Product data, customer data, transactional data is not, there is no perfect thing out there, right? So
right,
we need to understand that what is the benchmark? What is the good enough that you need to have in the data for that model to work, right? And again, that depends on the company and what they wanted to accomplish. What I wanted to say, just to give a quick example here, for example, for years, we have been talking about product data that has been built over decades, right? So people that have built data back in the late 90s, they were really good at the taxonomy and they were very efficient on this one. And then you can
Right.
have maybe in a company, 10 people, doing this over and over. So today there are companies that are helping you out with that. I mean, Grainger Works, which is a company that we work with, they do that, right? They do that for living. So going back what Kristen said is you can try to do it manually, or you can find solutions out there that are out of the box that can help you out to fix whatever you have. And it would go to a point where you may want to fix 70, 80% of data, and that's good enough, right? And then the rest
Yeah.
of the stuff is just something that you need just to leave it there and just to figure out what to do in the future. So this is important to never is going to be 100%. Maybe sometimes with 60, 70, it's enough for just to keep going and not those inflict the same pain over and over.
Okay, good. And I want to talk specifically about the Grainger speaker because we were very honored to have Brian Walker, who's the Chief Product Officer and an SVP at Grainger, come and address the audience. And, they're a big publicly held company. I think I expected, he revealed more than I thought he would, which I thought was and he was doing so to really help the audience. But a part of his message was, you can, in some cases, you have to roll your own, to use your term. I think you, or somebody said that. I think Nelson, you said that, or you have to develop your own, I guess, to be more clear. Is that just big company advice? I mean, and when someone asked him, well, what about for more mid-sized companies? And I think he understands that there's a difference in the capabilities of a big company versus a mid-sized company. But is the equation changing, that there are many, many more alternatives out there now, so the need to develop your own is becoming less, and Grainger's just a unique case? I mean, what did you think of his comments generally? And if you want to, you can address that question. Dush, I know you worked with Grainger long ago and maybe more recently. What's your perspective?
Grainger is in an enviable position of being this massive juggernaut, the largest in the industry. And as Brian said in his talk, the Grainger Technology Group has more than 2,000 people, and they have 60 odd 70 data scientists, and massive organization, right? So, and Grainger's strategic decision early on was, as Brian said, to not try to make patchwork fixes between different point solutions, but rather go out and develop foundational architecture. And then for gaps that exist, maybe put in individual solutions. And I think Brian was very open about the point that while that is a prescription that works for a company the size of Grainger, it may not be entirely appropriate for a $100 million company or a $50 million company to try and develop something, because the challenges of the cost and time to market are so high that it's so much easier to take something off the shelf, because exactly as Nelson said and Kristen said, there are solutions that are available, from even people on this call, that fix solutions that distributors are facing today. So, Nelson has a solution, Kristen has a solution that can address specific problems that they have. So, yeah, I don't see the justification in rolling your own for a smaller company, but a company the size of Grainger, yeah, absolutely, that is certainly a decision that they've made, and it works for them.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to someone after the conference, and they were like, "Well, the Grainger guy said we should build our own technology," and I was like, "I was there. That's not what he
I don't
said."
think what he said.
So I mean, people have their own takeaways. But my perspective was he was very clear. This is how we've done it, and this is not going to work for most other. I'm not
Right,
recommending that for you, and
right.
there's
Yeah.
an alternative path. I don't know, Nelson. Do you have a
Yeah,
perspective?
I will say on that one, I think that's that's human nature, right? Which is the decision: do I build or do I buy?
Yeah,
That's really a reasonable question that everyone is asking, and I think Dosh already described it. It's about the trade-off that you want. What is the time to market, and what is the cost to go out there? Give me one example of one of the customers that we signed 2 years ago. This was my conversation with the CEO. They are owned by a private equity firm, and I said, Kevin, you have all the money in the world. You have plenty of powder. You can do whatever you want. You have access to the talent as we do, right? But do you want it to keep being a distribution company or do you want it to become a software company? That's your decision that you are making, pretty much, right? And I said to him I have this conversation with many companies, and actually in Apply, I have a conversation with 3 prospects that we spoke 2 years ago, and I asked them the same question. You said to me 2 years ago that you're going to start this in your own, how things are playing out. And they just laugh about it because it's not that easy. And now it's even worse. Why? Because they are competing to attract all that talent that we're trying to have been working them for years. So you can have a project that may be interesting from someone for a couple of months, but
yeah.
that's it, right? So that's the challenge out there. It's time to market. I think Dosh describe it. It's time to market, and what is the payoff or the trade-off that you are trying to solve? You want to be a software company? Grainger, of course, can do it. Amazon, of course. MSC, all those big guys, of course, they have to do it. They have to compete. But you are in a 50, 100 to 50. I mean, you can try, but again, what are the chances for you to succeed? And I mean, we won't tell about all the, I would say, we are talking about the success that we have, but I'm pretty sure if I spoke with Kristen and Dosh about all the failures that
Yeah,
we
sure.
had,
Right.
you know
Yeah,
what I'm
the
saying?
challenges. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. They're going to face the same thing.
So Kristen, Whitecap does CRM software and business analytics and pricing. When you go out and talk to distributors, is there what's the appetite and interest and competency in adoption in those 3 areas with your clients and prospects? Does it vary depending on who you're talking to? Because I'm sure you're dealing with different constituencies in some cases for those 3.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a little bit of a range, and Nelson kind of classified like where folks are at on a kind of continuum a little bit earlier, which I think is great. But a lot of folks, when they are leading with BI, business intelligence, analytics, when they're kind of leading with that piece of it, they definitely seem a little bit more tactical at this point in how
Okay.
they want to use AI in their business. When we are talking with folks that are just looking a little bit more generically at CRM and haven't really figured out, how BI is going to impact their CRM, how AI is going to impact their CRM, that's when we have the more kind of nebulous conversations about AI of just, I need AI in my business, but I'm not really sure how. And again, we're happy to help guide and give some easy entry options there. But yeah, it's definitely different types of conversations that we have. And again, those businesses that have already kind of taken that plunge, decided we are going to be data driven in what we do. We're going to, reevaluate how we do things based on what the data tells us. They seem a half step further along that conversation of how to actually use AI in their business in a practical way, essentially.
Okay, and I'll start with you, but we'll go around the horn here. How do they measure the success of, or are they measuring the success of AI projects differently than other IT projects? Are they measuring them the same? And what are the metrics they're using?
Sure. So what I see a lot is the default like gut reaction is to measure the success in time saving. So we saved X amount of time. We saved, this many man hours doing manual work. And that is very true. And it's very compelling numbers a lot of the time. But what I also see tied with that is 2 things. One, kind of eye rolls, because every technological advancement, we're always saying, yeah, it's time saving, because it is.
Yeah.
But you get some eye rolls out of that. And for certain audiences, when you say this is time saving and you tell that to your team at your distribution business, that's what creates some fear around AI, is what I've seen, is that's where people start getting a little bit like, hey, well, let's pump the brakes. I'm not ready to take this plunge. And so while those like time saving metrics can be really compelling and interesting and true, leading with that, I don't think is always the most helpful. And so instead of that, it's going back to the problem that you're actually solving with AI to figure out how to measure that. So in a lot of the cases that we're working on, it's the revenue and the margin growth, looking at what are the cross-sell numbers for each of your sales reps before and after, enabling them with better product suggestions, strategic growth areas with key accounts. It's looking at the actual like business impact of that AI is helping, rather than a separate metric to track.
Nelson, you seen any difference between AI measurements and traditional IT measurements in terms of what constitutes success?
I don't think so. I mean, I do believe AI is another technology. There's no difference. So, I mean, with our customers, the way I describe this to owners basically is three buckets. The first one is adoption, right? What is the user adoption of the technology? And we measure that in the pricing side and the inventory side, which is how often is your salespeople and your customers really using the pricing that we're giving to you? And in the inventory side is how often is your procurement people, supply people using what we are recommending to them? That's user adoption, right? Because at the end of the day, that's one of the most scary things that distributors have out there is, I use all this technology, but I don't know if my people is going to use it. We measure that first. The second thing that we measure is dollars, right? So we start from the get-go. We say, how much gross margin can we, deliver to you on the pricing side, or how much, savings in the working capital side. So we do that, and we measure that every single month. And CFOs love that. One slide, one chart, how much money I'm making. Just that's it. The rest of the stuff, I don't care. And the third one, it is what it is. And the third one that we measure with them is as Kristen said, is how much either time we're saving, or how we're helping them to streamline their processes. And as she mentioned, that's a little bit harder, not just to measure sometimes, but as well as the human aspect of it. This is how you are taking the people and working with them through this transition. And I love that part, because at the end of the day, they are humans, they have a job, they wanted to excel, and they're just looking for someone that is helping them out to understand how to make their life easier, how AI is helping them to make their life easier, not to replace them. So those are the three things that we measure with our current customers.
So just let me focus the question a little bit for you, because you really focus on inventory performance, not just in terms of turns, but in terms of service levels, right? So those are the two. Those have always been teeter-totter measurements. Right. When I was at Grainger, someone told me there are two types of inventory forecasts: wrong ones and lucky ones. So is that really what you guys are evaluated on? Is, hey, here's what we think we're going to get, and did we get it?
Well, it's actually a few more metrics than just that. It's lead times, right? Okay. Lead times going out to customers in retail locations. How are we improving lead times? Fill rates. What was the fill rate before? What was the baseline? How are we filling now? And then optimization of inventory. How much have we been able to reduce our overall inventory over a period of time? And that's, release of capital, working capital into the business. Increase in fill rates is increase in revenue. So it hits either the top line or the bottom line, and very clearly measurable. That's what they measure on. And again, AI happens to be the technology that delivers the solution. Right. They're not measuring AI, they're measuring business benefit.
Yeah, I think that's been a clear theme throughout this conversation. So thank you for that. So Jonathan and I, my business partner, we had a debate, or maybe an interrogatory on stage, about the impact of AI on jobs, right? And I'm much more pessimistic than he is. I wouldn't say I have a high degree of confidence in that, but I'm more pessimistic than he is. But one thing that came up today was, and Kristen, you raised this point, so I'll start with you, is that people are afraid that technology will, in productivity increases will eliminate jobs. Now, right now, in a really super hot job market, maybe that's not such a big thing. But is the fear, what's a bigger impact on, AI solutions, the actuality that it's eliminating jobs, or the fact that there's fear and so employees refuse to embrace it and they can make it fail?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely going to shift our workplaces as we go forward, right? And I don't think we're there today where, we're getting rid of people to bring on more AI. I don't think that's where we're at. And so I think the fear, we can all take a breath and be okay for a little bit here. But what I would say is, I think it's important to know where we're headed, right? And that's what a lot of these conversations are about, is just like how do we future proof our teams and our own skill sets and things like that. And part of that, I think, is going to be going forward. It's not removing human interaction from a lot of what we do. Distributor sales cycles are very relationship driven. There's a lot of low hanging fruit that can be automated and optimized and things like that. But at the end of the day, you need that human interaction to really be good at what you do, and that's really critical. And so that piece of it is, how can we take out some of the busy work, the fluff that happens around that, and allow more time for that like high value effort. I think personally where a bigger like push in all of our skill sets is going to kind of take us is similar to media literacy, where understanding the sources of our news and our media that we ingest, and what that means about what we get out of that. I think we're going to, over time, get to a place where we have a similar sort of AI literacy that's important in the workforce, to be able to understand and use our critical thinking skills about what AI is feeding us, what the particular model is doing, and use that to kind of better craft our responses and how we use this to make strategic decisions.
Nelson, what's your view? Is it the reality of, thank you, Houston, by the way, is it the reality of job loss, or is it the perception of job loss, and to what degree do both of those affect people's willingness to embrace AI?
Yeah, I will start with the bad news. I think the bad news is that for any of us that we do repetitive tasks, a machine is going to be better than us, right? It is what it is, right? And I'm pretty sure you guys are using some AI to generate content in your companies, right? And typically that AI is faster.
Why no, we're
and better than
not.
us.
Why no? Why no, we're not.
Right? So
We actually don't use it much, but we do use it a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
exactly. But again, we use that one, right? So in some sort. So that's a question, like repetitive tasks are going to be replaced by AI or any kind of software that is out there. That's a fact. It is going to take maybe a year, 2 years, 10 years. I think in terms of the way we talk with our customers is we wanted to enable your people. We wanted to enable your team, right? To make this happen, which is how AI can help you to do your job better. I think there is a fear for some of them, especially, I would say the generation 40 plus, 50 plus, right? I think the generation 20 and 30 plus is the other side. They are like, go for it. I want to do this faster. How can I do this? How I can put the prompt, right? So you get kind of those two different worlds in terms of adoption. So in the later one, which is the 40 plus people, when we talk to them, it's about how this is going to help you out. And when we walk through them on the change management, I think they get it. I would say 60 to 80% they get it. I can do things faster, better, with less prompt of error, and I can know the machine can do this for me. So that's going to, but it takes time. It's a journey that's going to get there. But the fear is there for some of the people, not in the younger generation.
But Nelson, if I look at two areas that are really getting, potentially anyway, crushed by AI, it's translation companies and law firms, and those are not repetitive tasks, right? So it feels like there are these sort of points where, and just let me give you a chance to address this, but Nelson, we can come back to you or Kristen. I mean, it's bigger than just repetitive tasks, right? I mean, there are certain areas. I mean, translations, I guess, is kind of an obvious one. I just wrote a column for the Wholesaler magazine that says soon there will be no foreign languages, because you can put on these glasses and go anywhere in the world. And
you can do that today. You can do that today with Google Translate.
Yeah.
Translate. Yeah.
So I'll give you a little example of that. some months ago, I was at our corporate kickoff in Italy at our headquarters, and one of the presentations was in Italian, and they had the slides up, and all I did was to bring up Google Translate on my phone, and online in real time, I could see the translation on my phone and follow along. So it wasn't like that's some futuristic thing. It's happening today, and it's completely transparent to us. It's happening at a level that we don't even recognize, right? But to answer your question, I think there is more fear than reality. Yes, in some specific pockets, yes, translation, legal transcription, paralegal work, yes, ChatGPT can do a phenomenal job of that. But there's also the danger that relying exclusively or relying completely on something that generated by ChatGPT is dangerous because, as we've seen, legal precedences are made up. Right, there are instances where it refers to cases that didn't exist. So, I mean, I don't think, at least in the near term, we're going to get away from human-machine collaboration, which I think is what we focus on, which is it is allowing these deep insights to allow human beings to make better decisions rather than replacing human beings. It's giving them access to pattern recognition that they never had before. The opportunity for the machine to go recognize all these patterns and come back with insights on which you can take action, right? Only humans take action against that. So that's, my view is a little more optimistic in that it's not replacing human beings broadly and at scale, but what I think it will do is it'll enable greater interaction. But the fear is there, absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to actually skip the end of program promos because you guys are so interesting. So you get 45 seconds. Please stick to it. Give me a prediction about what's going to happen in distribution AI next. Kristen, we'll start with you.
Gosh, pressure is on. What I think is going to happen next, I think we're going to have a little bit of a backlash happening of some folks deciding like, hey, I'm not ready for this jump. And I think we're going to have some throwing the baby out with the bathwater when we have results that aren't 100% accurate. They don't prove to be 100% accurate. And again, I'm going to challenge everybody to remember that when we as humans do this, it's not 100% accurate.
Right.
When we, put any technology out there, it's not 100% accurate. So I want to challenge folks to remember that directionally accurate can be just as important for our strategic decision-making as that pinpoint precision. And I think that's where we can get a lot of value out of AI today if we don't let ourselves get too freaked out by, everything needs to be pinpoint accurate. We can get so much value out of it if we keep that directionally accurate mindset in mind here.
Awesome. Nelson, 45 seconds.
All right. I would say keep curious, keep thirsty about learning about AI, even though you are not embracing, keep learning, keep educating yourself, keep educating your company about it. I will say my prediction is that within the next 3 to 5 years, there are going to be distributors that are going to embrace AI and other technology, and they are going to come up really good out of it, and they are going to really develop that muscle in their side. There's going to be a pack of people that will start using AI and other technology, and they're going to get better. And there's going to be a block of people that they are not going to embrace the technology, and they may face a different reality 5 years from now because this is going really fast, right? That's my 45 seconds.
Awesome. Dush, take us home.
Okay, so what I would say is that there is a lot of consolidation happening in the distribution industry today. As you're seeing, lots of private equity firms are acquiring smaller distributors, putting them together. And so the need for these private equity firms to extract the maximum value out of these firms that they acquire is going to be paramount. So that's where AI plays in a very significant way. And to Nelson's point, it is inevitable. It's coming, right? Yeah. So my prediction is the ones that are going to survive are going to figure out how to leverage to their best advantage, and they're going to succeed.
Fantastic. Thank you so much to all three of you. What a wonderful conversation. Really appreciate it. Thanks to all our attendees. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you the next time on Wholesale Change. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.